Hello everyone, welcome to Olive Board. My name is Dinkar and today I'll be talking regarding the carbon border adjustment mechanism under the top news coverages. We all know that since last 1.5 weeks, more than 2 weeks are already been over. We will be discussing the top news coverages and every day we are taking various important top newses which are coming day by day, and we are discussing the ups and down, length and breadth of all those newses. So today we have a very important topic that is called carbon border adjustment mechanism. This is a very important carbon border adjustment which the European Union have started. So we'll be discussing regarding this carbon border adjustment mechanism. And before starting off the session, if you can just make sure that you like the session in order to make your presence registered over there, and also provide us your views, your comments on this session, because we are in need of your comments, and we how we can improve on these sessions. Your comments are also very important to all of us, so that we how we can improve what exactly what you needed for your sessions, because in this Olive Board we work with all of you. So make sure that you also provide your comments to all of us, so that we can just work on that, and if it is feasible we can just implement that for all of you. So this is just a request from my side, so make sure that you provide your comments, beautiful comments, whether it is good, whether it is bad, that doesn't matter, but at least provide your comments and give your views on that. Okay, so thank you so much for joining the session. Let's start with our session with carbon border adjustment mechanism. So this carbon border is a type of a tax. Okay, recently the news has come, and India has opposed this tax at COP27 summit that has happened in Sharm el Sheikh. Okay, so this is a very important, and this is going to hamper with various countries which are in the developing stages. So now let us see what is this carbon border tax. So this tax has been announced by the European Union. Okay, European Union, lot of countries are there in that European Union. They have announced this carbon border adjustment mechanism, or a tax we can call it as. Okay, so this will be implemented in a transition. इसको ट्रांजिशन में ये लोग डालेंगे by October 2023. It will be start implementing this type of tax. Okay, so what they are going to do is that they will be levying the carbon tax on the imports. मतलब जैसे if this is India and this is European Union, any product that is entering from India to European Union, it will be checked for their carbon emissions, कि वो product कितना carbon emission करके बनाया गया है. Okay, so they are going to tax those products which are being made from the carbon intensive sectors. Okay, so they are going to put a kind of a import duty on those products. The product which are not environmentally sustainable, the product which are not greener, okay, or which the product which have been formed from the fossil fuel like coal, oil, diesel, petroleum, like that. Okay, any product which have utilized these sources, these product will be getting the carbon tax on them. Okay, so this carbon border tax is like a import duty. Import duty. अगर आपका product greener है, greener, so there will be a very less import duty, and if it is not greener, there will be heavy import duties. Okay, heavy import duty will be levied on you. Okay, based on the type of carbon emission and how much carbon emission has done by that product. Like if we see the toy is there, the toy has emitted a lot of carbon. Like during the production stages, this toy has utilizes the production process have released a lot of carbon. So this toy will be put under the high import duties. Okay, but if there is any product, if we call it as some cloth, if it has been made from a greener fuels, if it has very low carbon emission, so this cloth will be having a very low import duty or maybe zero duty. Okay, so this is just like to incentivize those products which are greener and to de-incentivize those products which are not greener. Okay, so it is like a import duty on the carbon emission. जितना ज्यादा कार्बन एमिशन करोगे उतना ज्यादा आपके प्रोडक्ट में ड्यूटी लगेगा, जितना कम कार्बन एमिशन आपके प्रोडक्ट में किया होगा उतनी कम इंपोर्ट ड्यूटी लगेगी, like this, like that. Okay, so what are the stated goal that European Union has given for this? First of all, they have said that we wanted to eliminate the difference in the carbon prices, like because for the developing countries, they are allowed to release, they have got little leverage to release the carbon. But the European Union firms are being put under the huge pressure of reducing the carbon emissions to move towards the greener pathway, right? So because of that, the level playing field cannot come. So in order to put all the companies into the level playing field, this type of carbon tax has been imposed. Okay, and this will also help in the stronger emission reduction. Obviously, if we are doing that, it will obviously lead to the higher, stronger emission reduction. And this also help to incentivize non-European countries. If any non-European countries like India, China, Pakistan, Tajikistan, Turkey, China, or any countries are there who are working very good on the carbon emissions, so they will be incentivized for their purposes, because the money that will be collected from this tax will be utilized to fund the projects in the developing countries. Okay, and by putting this carbon emission tax, this European Union will be helping in solving the global climate efforts, because there are a lot of companies, what they are doing is that if they are highly carbon emitting companies, if they are emitting lot of carbon, so what they do is they relocate to the country, like in the European Union, if there is a company A who is emitting lot of carbon, but because of the restriction that has been put in the European Union, the company A has to pay lot of money to cater to that release of carbon. So what company A will do? Company A will try to relocate their position to India, where lesser norms are there. Okay, so this concept is called carbon leakages. In order to prevent this carbon leakage also, we have to make sure that any product which is coming, because even if this company is relocating to India, and from India if they are selling their product to European Union, though they have to pay the carbon tax. So it is just like that. Even if you are in European Union, you will not be spared, and even if you are in India, you will not be spared. Okay, so in this way we will be preventing the carbon leakages. Okay, now, and also there are a lot of climate objective goals. Paris climate goals are there. We have to achieve net zero, right? And also we have to curb the carbon intensive imports. So the main purpose is that we have to curb the carbon intensive imports, we have to curb in all these areas. The whole purpose is that to remove, to de-incentivize the carbon producing or carbon intensive imports. Okay, so we have to make the institution more and more confident that they should start utilizing the process which is less carbon emitter, and you can take the benefit out of it. So the purpose is that wherever you are staying, if you are sending your product to Europe, you have to pay the taxes if your product has been made from the carbon intensive inputs. Okay, so as per this mechanism, around 20 to 35% tax can be levied, okay, on the selected inputs. Normally the things are there in the steel sector and aluminium sector. Aluminium sector will be having a lot of taxes on that, like steel, aluminium, fertilizers are there. Then you can have electricity generation, cement. Okay, so any of these products, if they are reaching to the European Union, they have to pay the carbon tax. The more you release the carbon, the more tax you have to pay. You know, coking coal coking coal is utilized for in the blast furnace. Blast furnace, ये blast furnace में coking coal use होता है steel production में. Similarly, coal is utilized in aluminium, coal is utilized in electricity generation, coal is utilized in the cement production. So the more and more coal you will be using, the more and more carbon tax you have to give, and the more and more greener you become, the more and more less tax you have to pay, right? So this carbon border adjustment mechanism is a part of a Fit for 55 in 2030. That means this European Union wanted to reduce the greenhouse gas emission by 55%. वो अपने greenhouse gas emissions को 55% कम करेंगे based on 1990s level by 2030. Okay, as per the European climate laws, and by 2050 they are saying that they will be becoming net zero. Okay, so this carbon border adjustment mechanism is just one part of their Fit for 55 in 2030 campaign. Okay, so they this is like a very important policy tool which is put on the imported goods. Okay, so these goods will be subjected to the same carbon cost as product that is produced in European Union. मतलब जितना यूरोपियन यूनियन में टैक्स लग रहा होगा उस प्रोडक्ट को बनाने के लिए, सेम टैक्स will be levied from the imports. Okay, like if we go by this example, there is a company in London. In London, one company is there. Similarly, there is a company in Delhi that is called company B. The tax on the company A is 20% on the product because they are releasing a lot of carbon. Similarly, the company B will be making the product at less rates, but by the time it reaches to the border of the European Union, the carbon tax will come into play, carbon tax, so as to play a level playing field. तो इसका भी प्रोडक्ट का रेट उसी बराबर कर दिया जाएगा जो लंदन में प्रोडक्ट है. Okay, so that the people of London should not feel dejected that why we are paying the extra taxes and why the things which are coming from the other countries are paying less taxes. Okay, so in order to provide the level playing field, at the same time in helping in the curbing of the greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, so here what will be the implementation procedure? The implementation will be done in the way like here. What you can do is that importers has to declare how much is the quantity of goods that you have imported and how much greenhouse gas emissions are being released by importing that much of goods. Okay, based on the declaration by the importer, these importer have to buy the Cbam certificates. Okay, कि अगर आपने 10,000 रुपए नॉर्मली आपको टैक्स से भरना पड़ेगा कि आपको ये सर्टिफिकेट्स गवर्नमेंट से खरीदने पड़ेंगे. Okay, so emission importer will need to surrender a corresponding number of Cbam certificates in order to serve their climate goals. कि आपने अगर इतना कार्बन एमिशन किया है, so based on that amount of carbon emission, this much of the amount as a tax you have to pay to the government. That many certificates that government releases, you have to surrender it to that. Okay, so what is the significance? So the significance is that non-European countries will become more stringent. They will be following more stringent environmental standards. Okay, it will also prevent the carbon leakages. क्योंकि अब ऐसा नहीं होगा कि अगर आपके देश में ज्यादा टैक्स पड़ रहा है तो आप दूसरे देश में जाके प्रोडक्ट बनाए. नहीं, अगर आपके दूसरे देश में प्रोडक्ट बना रहे होगे तो जब आप यूरोपियन यूनियन में आओगे तो आपको उतने टैक्स पे करना पड़ेगा. ठीक है, सो इट विल बी डिस्करेजिंग द कंपनीज फ्रॉम रीलोकेटिंग टू द कंट्रीज वेयर वीकर एनवायरमेंटल रेगुलेशंस आर देयर. ओके, एंड रेवेन्यू जनरेटेड फ्रॉम द CBAM this will be used to support the European Union climate policies. Okay, so these are some of the important channels through which carbon leakages happen. Energy market, competition and free riding. These are the very important places where carbon leakages happen. Okay, now what is it for India? What it is going to impact in India? So it will first of all has an adverse impact, obviously, because Indian products will get costlier. Indian product will become costlier and more taxes will be levied on that, especially iron, steel, aluminium, cement and fertilizer. Okay, so around 20 to 50% tax can be levied on these products. Okay, the first of all, this whole process will be in the form of a phases. ये phases में होगा और October 1st 2023 से ये phase start होगा and by 1st of January 2026 the European Union will start collecting the carbon tax on each consignment of steel, aluminium, cement, fertilizer, hydrogen and electricity. In the starting they will be giving some leverage. But by 1st of January 2026 every consignment based on the carbon release they have to pay the carbon tax. Okay, now what is the carbon intensity first of all of India? So the carbon intensity of India is very high, significantly very high, because India is at a developing phase. So the carbon intensity of Indian products are already very high, and there are many other countries are there for which also the carbon intensity is very high. So if this tax come into being, Indian exporter has to pay a lot of taxes, or importers has to pay a lot of taxes to that. Okay, because right now India is providing electricity from the coal-fired power plant. Around 75% coal is being electricity is being provided, but right now the things are going down. Solar is coming up, then hydrogen energy, nuclear energy are coming, but still the coal-fired power plant is the lead in the electricity generation. Okay, so the maximum you utilize the electricity from the coal-fired power plant, like if the steel plant is utilizing electricity from the coal plant, so they have to pay carbon tax. Okay, like that, whether it is direct emission or indirect emissions, right? Because steel is utilizing the indirect emission here by taking the electricity, and direct emission in the blast furnace. In the blast furnace they are doing the direct emissions. So this is the major concern for India. Okay, so what is the advantage of the carbon border adjustment mechanism? It will encourage the non-European countries to adopt more stringent work. It will prevent the carbon leakages, and it will also generate revenues to support the European Union climate goals. Okay, now what are the challenges that are there? First of all, it is very difficult to measure the carbon emission accurately. So there may be chance of levying of unnecessary tax based on assumptions. केवल assumption पे ही आप अगर tax लगा दोगे, so there is a need to find a tool for accurately measuring the carbon emission on the imported goods. Okay, and you should have a very clear and stringent carbon accounting system. Okay, but this may also create trade tensions between the trading partners, and if this happens, it will be taken, and the countries who will be getting problem by these issues will be doing a retaliatory measures. The same measures they will put in the European Union. Okay, so European Union has to work in tandem and find out all together like how they can work on this issue, so that no countries can get the unnecessary burden of this. Okay, so what measure India is taking in order to remove this decarbonization? India has come up with a national steel policy which is focusing on greening of the steel production. Greening of the steel production. Government is providing production linked incentives for using the renewable energy. Then India is going to negotiate with the European Union, because India is working as a developing country. So India will put the World Trade Organization into between. India will be utilizing their protectionist measure. Okay, no country can simply put any kind of tax in order to remove the competition, especially for the developing countries. European Union cannot take undue advantage, so they have to sometimes take the permission from the WTO for this work. If if European Union wanted to make this kind of work, a carbon tax, they have to help various countries like India, China, Pakistan, Turkey, all these countries with the transfer of technologies. India will be moving towards a greener production, like India is releasing green bonds. Recently 8,000 crore rupees bonds have been released in the month of April, right? Green bonds have been released by the government, where the money will be utilized for the greening of the production capacity. So these are all the work which government is doing for the work, right? So what's ahead? What's ahead? So carbon border adjustment mechanism, the purpose is just one, to reduce the carbon emission from the imported goods and also to provide a free trade environment. But this is just the stated goal. This is just the stated goal. We have to see, like, in the future what it is going to be. Okay, and this CBAM is also going to encourage the other countries to have the stricter environmental regulation. A lot of countries who are sending a lot of products to the European Union, they will be putting in their country various environmental regulation, reducing the carbon emission. This will be forcing those countries to follow the environmental regulations. So this is what ahead is that. So this testing will be starting. The testing will be started from October 2023. Okay. So at the first, the firms will only have to report. In the starting, the firms have to report the emission only, okay, associated with their imports. Okay. Right now, the time scale has not been fixed. Recently, the time scale has not been fixed till now. And the purpose is that because European industries have complained that they are already paying lot of money as a tax for polluting the things. So we also want the level playing field. So you also have to put the taxes on the import. Okay. So most affected countries will be Russia, China, India, UK, Turkey. UK right now is not a part of European Union. Okay, so that is why I have kept it outside. And is there any exemption? Is there any exemptions that are there? Yes. Any country who is following similar environmental standards as European Union is playing, so they are exempted from this tax. Any country who is following similar environmental standards will be exempted. Okay. So what it is for the developing countries? What it is for the developing countries? So the developing countries can take the protectionist measure. They can raise this issue in the WTO regarding this CBAM tax in the WTO, and they can ask for the protectionist measure regarding this tax. So this is all is like a way which we wanted to work. Either you have a option 1 or option 2. One side fits all, that is a flat mechanism. जो greener way में आ रहे हैं, they can easily get into that. Those who are not coming, here taxes have to be levied. Okay. So what is this? This is unfair. Okay. Because if greener products are coming, you are putting tax, but they are saying that no, level playing field are there. If greener products are coming, you will be paying less taxes. Okay. Then what is option 2? Individual mechanism you can put. This is a very good option. Individual mechanism you can put. The more and more carbon, the more and more tax. The lesser carbon, the lesser the tax. Okay, the greener your product, the lesser tax you will pay. The more dirtier your product, the more tax you pay. So it is polluter pay principle. It will incentivize the industry for decarbonization. It will be effective for promotion of the European climate goals. So this is the option number 2, which is very, very important, and that fits the individual adjustment mechanism. So guys, thank you so much for joining the session. I will be seeing you tomorrow, and from tomorrow, good news to all of you, we will be again starting the PIB session, Press Information Bureau. But the news is that the Press Information Bureau session will be starting from the 8 a.m. in the morning. From 8 a.m. in the morning every day, Press Information Bureau session will be starting is sharp at 8 a.m. Based on your request, everybody, we will be starting PIB session from tomorrow at 8 a.m. in the morning. So do join that session. So thank you so much. Always remember, where there is a will, there is always a way. Thank you so much.